Symposium theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26 to 27, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akewumi. Keynote speaker offstream: Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream: Tolulope Longe. Keynote speaker policy: Olamide Moses. Panel session 1: Gas monetization and utilization in Nigeria. Opportunities for optimization using technology. Panel session 1 moderator: Engineer Joseph Wakwe. Panelists: James Ogunleye, Ismail Mohammed, Enamibon Ngobia. Panel session 2: Crude tracking and volume optimization using technology. Pipeline surveillance, produce water treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel session 2 moderator: Obiageli Okeke. Panelist: Ihoma Ndoeche, Mr. Prince Abango, Simeon Okara. Special presentations: Dr. God's Will of Walagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Host: Engineer Oduayo Oladuba. Register via SPEBenin.com. The SPE Benin section: Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. See you there. SPE Benin Nigeria section presents the third SPE Benin section: Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. Theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26 to 27, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akewumi. Keynote speaker offstream: Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream: Tolulope Longe. Keynote speaker policy: Olamide Moses. Panel session 1: Gas monetization and utilization in Nigeria. Opportunities for optimization using technology. Panel session 1 moderator: Engineer Joseph Wakwe. Panelists: James Ogunleye, Ismail Mohammed, Enamibon Ngobia. Panel session 2: Crude oil production, tracking and volume optimization using technology. Pipeline surveillance, produce water treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel session 2 moderator: Obiageli Okeke. Panelists: Ihoma Ndoeche, Mr. Prince Abango, Simeon
that you had a very educative session for day one. Once again, thank you for joining us. I want to especially welcome you for this day 2 program. We always want to let you know that yes, day 1 was good, but day 2 would be better. So once again, you are welcome. Thank you for joining us. And for most of us here in person, thank you for joining us for the technical presentations. I am sure those people who presented their technical papers did a fantastic job, and you asked questions to learn. Thank you very much for joining. You are once again welcome to day 2 of this symposium. Right now, I would like to kindly request we all stand so we can observe the national anthem of our beloved country, Nigeria. Kindly all stand so we take the national anthem, second stanza. Also, I'd like to welcome our online participants to the day 2 of the symposium. We cannot forget you due to the times that we are in, COVID-19, and we know that all of us would love to be present here, but due to our busy schedule and restrictions, we have to partake in our respective offices or wherever we may be. So once again, you are welcome to the day 2 event of this great symposium hosted by the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Benin Section 116, Nigeria. As is our tradition, we would like to observe the safety brief due to the times we are in. And we have a list that has been given to us by the hotel. I will just call out a few to ensure we follow the rules that has been given to us. Please, if you are driving, do not take calls while driving. Or if you intend to participate in this program, kindly find a safe place to park and be a member or partake for this symposium. Also note that you are required to put on your face masks, ensure the 2-meter spacing that has been designed in the halls, and if you're online, kindly be safe. Ensure you keep to all rules and regulations to ensure that we are all safe. Use your hand sanitizers if you have. If you don't have, kindly raise your hand. One will be provided to you. And if you're online and you would want to eat, ensure you do not eat while on this program to avoid choking. Ensure you are not charging your laptop and placing it on your body directly to avoid any surge coming in. Thank you very much for the day 2, for joining the day 2 of the symposium. And it promises to be an exciting one, more than day 1. At this juncture, I would like to welcome to the podium the chairman of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Benin Section, Engineer Odunayo Oladugba, for his opening remark. You are welcome, sir.
Good morning. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, the Managing Director, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, Engineer Manso Sambo, His Excellency, the Chief of Staff and XTA to the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Olamide Moses, the Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, Professor Lilian Imoitinya Salami, Chairman SPE Nigerian Council, Engineer Olatuji Akinwumi, Chairman SPE Nigeria Council Board of Trustees, Engineer Alec Musa, all top government officials present, all NNPC top management and senior management staff present, all senior members of SPE, other protocols duly observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the region of the world that you're joining us from. We know a couple of people are joining virtually, and we have some participants in person. You're welcome to the 3rd edition of the FOPES, and I'd like to welcome you especially to day 2 of FOPES 2021, themed Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Yesterday, we had 3 keynote presentations focusing on the upstream, midstream, and policy aspects of the symposium theme. Thanks to the Managing Director, Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, Engineer Manso Sambo, who was ably represented yesterday by the Executive Director, Exploration and Product Development, MPDC Engineer Tunde Heizoje, the Chief of Staff and STA to the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Olamide Moses, the Manager Production Support, LLNG, Mrs. Tolulokwe Longe, who graced the opening ceremony on day one with their presence and very insightful keynote speeches. Immense thanks also to the moderator and speakers of panel session 1 for doing justice to the topic on gas monetization and utilization in Nigeria, opportunities for optimization using technology. The discussions and points made were eye-opening, with lots of food for thought towards shaping the future of gas production, commercialization, and utilization in Nigeria. Today's panel session will focus on crude oil production tracking and volume optimization using technology. I'll be looking at pipeline surveillance, produced water treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Special presentation topics will center on automated oil and gas pipeline vandalism detection system, digital transformation in oil and gas, and artificial intelligence in upstream oil and gas. And that would focus on trends, challenges, and future evolution. Once again, our profound gratitude goes to our sponsors, esteemed speakers, and to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for supporting us to actualize FOPES 2021. We thank you all, our valued participants in person and online, for joining us today for the day 2 of the symposium. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. I will hope that you enjoy the remaining part of this symposium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The section chairman for Society of Petroleum Engineers, Benin, section 116, Nigeria. Thank you for that opening remark. And moving on to this next section, next segment for this FOPES 2021 is special presentations. And we have a number of guests who would love to present what they have to offer to us today. And would love to, first of all, kindly welcome to the podium Mr. Babatunde A. Musa. Just to give a brief bio before he comes on, Mr. Babatunde A. Musa is the Senior Account Manager in Energy Sector for Huawei, Nigeria. He has a bachelor's degree in Computer Science and master's degree in Procurement, Logistics, and Supply Chain Management. With 10 years technical and managerial experience in the energy, sales, and information technology industries, deep knowledge of petroleum industry and oil and gas digital transformation. Please, a round of applause as we welcome Mr. Babatunde Amusa, who will be presenting to us the Empower Digital Transformation in Oil and Gas. Please, a round of applause as he comes to the podium.
Thank you very much. Good morning, distinguished guests and participants, both physical and online. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I say that we're very grateful to be here and to be able to give this presentation on behalf of Huawei Technologies Company Nigeria Limited. As introduced, my name is Babatunde Amusa. The gentleman said Huawei. A lot of people say, how do you pronounce that name? So I'm going to help out today, right? So it's Huawei. Some people say Huawei. Who are we? Then I can say we are who we are. Thank you very much. That's just on a lighter mood. Today I'm going to be discussing digital transformation in oil and gas. I'll be very brief. and I'll also make it very simple in two ways. The first one is to give the highlights of digital transformation. Then second part will be using what we do at Huawei in digital transformation, specifically for the oil and gas industry. Now, a lot of people ask that question. You know, we throw around words, digital, transformation. How do we apply this, you know, in the current scenario that we are talking about? I think it's very important to start with the fact that digital transformation is now the way of life in the oil and gas industry. We're very much aware of the current situation that we are in, from the pandemic, even before then, the reduction in the oil price, and all of that. For the oil industry to continuously be profitable, then definitely processes, solutions, technology really has to be at the forefront, you know, in driving the process, in driving the production, in driving even how this particular crude gets to the market and to the end users. So, I would also like to say that the oil and gas business model, the one that we used to know, you know, can no longer sustain an inflated and inefficient value chain in the search, that is from the beginning, the delivery of hydrocarbons to the world market. Now, the question is, what is driving digital transformation? So we talk about different levels of technology: mobile computing, cloud computing, analytics, Internet of Things. These are, you know, the principal drivers of digital transformation. I'm very much aware that a lot of us would have heard all of these different names being thrown around when we talk about technology. Now, these different technologies, you know, are all interdependent, and they are now transforming the way people and business in the oil and gas, you know, relate. So, specifically to the oil sector, we now talk about Internet of Things. That is a handful of different technologies, you know, that drive, you know, and innovate for digital transformation to continuously, you know, be happening in that sector. So now, companies in the oil sector, from downstream, midstream, and the upstream, are now able to digitalize, optimize, and automate processes, you know, that were not previously connected to the IT systems. Before now, things have been done in silos, but now with the digital transformation, we are now connecting all the dots, you know, together. Let me also say that in the past, IT, that is information technology, used to be a cost center to the business in the oil and gas. But now you can say categorically that IT has to be at the forefront, you know, as a business driver. Now, let me mention just a few of these highlights as it relates to what we're talking about. Maybe you have heard of the edge computing, you know, that brings computation, data storage, because everything we talk about, even in oil and gas, is data. How do we use this to make effective decisions? So, the edge computing helps to bring all of this together, the data storage, the computation, closer to where it is needed. Unlike before, where, for example, you're moving from the remote oil field to the office, maybe a particular oil field generates 2-3 terabytes of data in a day, and then these are, for decisions to be made, they have to be transmitted into the HQ, or the head office. So look at time that is being lost. Look at all of this that is happening. But using technology, you can have real-time, you know, transmission of this data in terms of connectivity, in terms of even being able to visualize what is going on in all of this field. Now, we can say edge computing has brought that innovation, analytics, and also operational management into the oil sector. So, a very few importance of this digital transformation in oil and gas. We can say for performance forecasting, production forecasts across thousands of wells, enhanced oil recovery, and analytics across unconventional assets. You want to talk about predictive maintenance, automation of work, connectivity between offshore and, you know, onshore and offshore facilities for data transmission. All of these are made possible, through digital transformation of the oil and gas sector. Now, in order to continuously pursue digital transformation in the oil and gas, we must have tools. When I say tools, I mean technology tools that would allow executives, managers to be able to review, orchestrate processes that align with their business strategy to ensure process execution, that delivers that particular strategy. That is, you bring data home to the decision makers real time, for them to be able to deliver value. Now, I would say, given all of those highlights, where does Huawei play? Please, the slides. Where does Huawei play? So, as you may be aware, maybe you know Huawei as that telecom company, that is out there supporting telecoms and all of that. Please, from the beginning, go back. From the profile. Back. All right. So, who are we? As I started, Huawei is a leading global provider of ICT infrastructure and smart devices. Excuse me. So, if you're talking digital transformation, the forefront is technology, and that is what we do at Huawei. We're a global company with about 194,000 employees all over the world, and the most important one is research and development. You cannot have digital transformation without that robust research and development. Yes, we're in Nigeria, spread across the 36 states. Please keep moving. This is just introducing who we are. Please keep moving. Next. All right. So let's focus on the left part. Digital oil feed IoT, E&P data management, digital pipeline, artificial intelligence-based video surveillance for depot, smart gas station, smart campus. Those are the things that we talk about when it comes to digital transformation in the oil and gas industry. Then you have equipment, you have product and solution that support that. And that is when you talk about the unified communication, the backhaul network, high performance compute, data center, power. These are when you connect different things together to achieve the industry solutions that we offer. I'll go into some of those key areas as we move. Next, please. Now, let me just spend about 1.5 minutes here. In the upstream, in the oil and gas sector, you have these three key areas, the upstream, midstream, and the downstream. And they have their respective areas of focus. In the exploration, you have the seismic data processing. Now, if you're talking in terms of speed, in terms of accuracy, in terms of even the required environment for those, the right equipment that they need to be able to get the seismic data processing, accurate, then you talk about, the level of technology that needs to be involved here. You need to transform that particular line digitally to make sure that you are in tune with the reality of now. In the production, as we know, we have the remote oil field. The head office, for example, is in Benin here. How do we communicate? How do we simplify process? How do we get the data from the field, from the well? How are we able to predict, how are we able to maintain the oil field? Then that is where technology also comes to pass. And in the transportation line, that is where you have the midstream. We have what we now call the digital pipeline and the digital refining. Before now, if there are faults on the line, you probably have to send someone. Then knowing the terrain, the security issues, then that for us to be able to proactively solve problem, you can be somewhere here and something beeps in your pocket to tell you the particular place that the problem is happening from. You can also visualize across the line. You can see it even from thousands of miles away. So this can help decision makers, to be able to actively solve problems even before they happen. Right here, you can shut down a line because you know that something is about to happen there. You have sensors, you have all of that actively working. Sorry, go back. Back, please. And the last one, no, please. Yes, thank you. The last one is where are we taking all these decisions from? Of course, from the HQ, from the office. You need to also actively be, online. You need to be digitally transformed in the office environment, having the right data center, the right network, and all of that to be able to access all the remote operations. Next. So, based on that last slide, Huawei has all those technology actively deployed, even across the country that we are here. Now, let's focus on the remote operations from the field. This digital oil field Internet of Things specifically is what we have designed, to solve the problem of connectivity between the remote field and the head office. You can see onshore field, swamp, offshore, FPSO. A lot of activities for production are happening in these different areas. The decision makers are in the office. Data must be transmitted from production, video, and even voice. You want to actively sit in front of your command center and talk to the people in thousands of miles away from you. You want to be able to get well data, production data, and now we can do all of this from a single pipe using the 4G long-term evolution connectivity. So, of course, we're familiar with the 4G LTE on our phones. That is very fast. So imagine you are able to get that level of activity from your office, knowing what is going on in the field. So you want to eliminate security issues, risk of kidnap, and real-time data gathering and data processes. So this highlight of this digital transformation in the digital oil field is all these different scenarios are being done from one single pipe. So the problem of multi-OEM, that is different, managing different OEMs, managing different vendors, is no longer going to be there. Then you have what we call comprehensive monitoring. That is, you are not just monitoring people, you are not just using CCTV to see, you are your production data, which is very critical to the business. So imagine that you already know that this particular well has XYZ volume, is going to be alive for the next 5 years. You can plan. So these are some of the advantages of the digital transformation, and Huawei is already at the forefront leading this across the sector. Next, please. Now, let's come back to the downstream. From the depot to the gas station, a lot of activities also go on there. The trucks come in to take the fuel and all of that. We now have what we call artificial intelligence-based video surveillance. Remember that what digital transformation is trying to solve is actually to make the process easier, to eliminate security risk, and also to do what we call cost savings. So, if you look at the depot, you also look at from the refinery, you can have artificial intelligence-based video surveillance there and have a command center right in the office to deepen transparency. A lot of thefts and all of that go on there, trucks coming in and up and about, security risks, people going into where they are not authorized to be. Or you can reduce loss and enhance HSE. You will agree with me that HSE is something very critical, in this industry. And this is what, digitalizing your depot environment, the refinery environment is bringing to the table. And of course, increase efficiency. Next, please. So, just breaking that last slide down, you can, because it is an AI-based solution, you can have plate number recognition, facial recognition, even from these systems. So, a truck that is not recognized by this solution cannot come in, even from the plate number. You can also see the vehicle tracking. You can do a lot of analysis, on this solution. It's not just a video camera that is just seeing all of us as we are here. It's going to monitor vehicle tracking, intelligent behavior analysis, to avoid theft, vandalism, and trespass. So the moment somebody is trying to tap something that is not supposed to be tapped, it sends a signal. You are able to see it. You're already digitalizing that environment. And of course, fire risk. So if we have long-range AI-based cameras that can spot a fire risk from maybe 100 meters away, then nobody needs that alarm that would make that sound, or too many people on the field, solving for a problem that technology can solve from. I know one of the questions will be, if we have all of this, do we still need people on the field? Well, we'll get there. So, and of course, power. Power is critical to technology. Everything we are saying rests on availability. It has to be available. And that is why the solutions that we have are all encompassing. You have everything all in one that can go 24/7, being online and on time. And if you look at the highlights, the whole distribution process in the depot can be monitored. People and asset protection, such as identifying risk even before they happen. If, for example, I come into this room and I drop my bag somewhere where it is not authorized to be, you start getting a signal that something has been dropped where it's not supposed to be. Maybe somebody is trying to, to act funny. So those are the things, like I mentioned, digital transformation does to us in this industry, help us to solve HSE issues, increase productivity, processes, and all on the overall reduce cost. Next, please. So, of course, the pipeline to transport this oil, they go from point A to point B, from production to the depot. Now of course, we're talking of the AKK project. The in thing is to lay fiber along the stretch of the pipeline, is to have that connectivity that if it is vandalism, if it is threat of any kind, they are able to get a prompt, they are able to know ahead of time. These are also some of the things that you are able to do when you digitalize the entire value chain of the oil and gas industry. This is self-explanatory. I don't want to go into full discussion. So no matter how long the distance, you are able to monitor the movement, you are able to see intrusion, you are able to see leakages, even leakages detection. So once there is a leakage, whether it is man-made or not, you get a prompt and you know the exact area ahead of time. Next, please. So the final thing I would say is, if technology is expensive, if digital transformation is expensive, what is the alternative that we are talking about? At the end of the day, when you do your total cost of ownership, when you do the life cycle of this process, you know for a certain that you have been able to reduce costs on the overall, you have been able to increase efficiency, you have been able to digitalize the processes, and the environment is now safe, while everything becomes extremely profitable on the overall. This will be my presentation this morning, talking about digital transformation and what Huawei has been doing in that aspect. Thank you very much for listening. If you have questions for me, I'm still very much here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that lovely presentation from Huawei. According to the joke you said, Huawei. Just as you heard by Mr. Babatunde, despite the company being a global leading company in ICT and smart services, they are not just in for smart devices or that, they also try to help the oil and gas industry with their technologies. And as you heard him, he has listed a bit of technologies that they've developed that can make life easier for the personnel in oil and gas industry. Once again, please, a round of applause for that lovely presentation. Right now, we'll be going to the virtual field because we have the next presenter who is joining us online this morning, Engineer Dr. Godswill Ofolagba. Just to give a brief profile while they get him online, Engineer Godswill Ofolagba is currently the Dean of Faculty of Engineering in the Federal University of Petroleum Resources. He has 4 patents and over 63 published technical papers in both international and national journals. He is an automation, robotics, and renewable energy expert, a lecturer and entrepreneur with over 21 years of experience. He lectures at Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Efurun, Delta State. Once again, a round of applause for Engineer Dr. Godswill Ofolagba as we hand over the virtual floor to him to present his presentation.
this global symposium of SPE. Today we are going to discuss automated oil and gas pipeline vandalization detection system. And we know that basically this is quite key because according to the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, we have losses of 41.9 billion, which we have lost over the past 10 years. That is a whooping sum of money. Just imagine plugging this amount of money into our economy. That would have changed the Nigerian space, and a lot of development would have been achieved. Also, according to the group managing director, partly why the 4 refineries are not working is also because of pipeline vandalization. Also, we need to the government is severely affected if this amount of money, close to 42 billion dollars, have lost over 10 years. That is why there's need for us, just like the first speaker said, the digitalization of the oil and gas industry. And part of this is for us to visualize the surveillance of the pipeline. Now, what is the problem? Part of the problem is the vandalization of the pipeline. But we want to also look at this space. What happens? How is the pipeline vandalized? I have a picture here trying to give or repeat what happens. 93% of statistics show that our pipelines are buried assets. And because they are buried assets, the vandals, first of all, have to dig to get to the pipeline. And because they have to dig, so that they can siphon the fuel using tankers or every other means, pumping this fuel from the pipelines that they have drilled. So in doing this, we have been able to identify how the problem, we are going to identify also how the vandalization is gone. And these pictures are just showing what they do by digging the pipeline, creating a space for them to be able to pump or siphon the petroleum products. And this is just showing how they drill the pipeline. They have different techniques of drilling the pipeline, but this is just pictorial actions that is taken by the vandals. Then they have to pump into their tank. Now, like I said in the introduction, the national petroleum revenue has a lot of losses because of this. We also have the effect of environmental pollution. Our farmlands, waters, fishes are affected. Even we have loss of life and property when explosions take place because our petroleum products are volatile and could cause explosion. Now, these are the challenges. And what are the solutions? Having identified the problems and challenges in securing the pipeline, the vast over 5,000 kilometers of pipeline has no known digital solution to monitor the pipelines. And that is why we are looking at automated oil and gas pipeline vandalization detection system. And it works by detecting the earth vibration signals. These earth vibration signals are unique to ground digging because we identify that as one of the means in which they must get the pipelines exposed, drill the pipelines, and then they will need to siphon the petroleum products. So, first of all, our automated oil and gas pipeline vandalization system will detect that digging using custom design sensing units. What are the sensing units? Now, the sensing units, which we call the SU, all right, are buried underneath the ground. Now, for you to get to the pipeline, because the pipelines are buried 1 meters beneath the earth surface. Now, we are going to, the sensing units are going to also be buried just above the pipeline, 10 cm above the pipeline, before the pipeline is down. So for you to get to the pipeline, that means you must dig. In essence, it will be detected when the unit is taking place. Now, the sensing unit are spaced 200 meters apart. Just like the picture, you can see 200 meters apart. What it means is that 100 meters midway and 100 meters midway this way what sensing unit protects that environment? So if there's any digging within the 200 meters this way and this way, this SU, the sensing unit will detect that and communicate to the control centers for patrol vehicles, as we explain much later. So each sensing unit contains cascade of 8 jump phones that monitor the seismic signals in its 200 meter surveillance distance. Now, we use jump phones. For these jump phones, we use 8 in each sensing unit, cascaded together. Why the 8? Just because we want that 8 to be able to cover at least 200 meters along the pipeline. Also, part of the solution in trying to give that solution to detecting vandalization in the pipeline, the SUs are able to detect the seismic signals, all right, that vandals, while they are attempting to dig for the buried pipelines. As can be seen from the picture, all right, we're trying to picturize somebody trying to dig under the earth, and because this person is trying to dig, drill, all right, it is detected by this particular SU, and the signals is going to be sent to the patrol vehicles as well as the control centers. Explanation will be given further. Now, after detecting a vandalization attempt, the sensing unit sends alert messages to the dedicated control centers. There are dedicated control centers that we're trying to show here from this picture. These are like what is needed in the control centers, whereby you're able to get signals and the exact location. Each sensing unit has a unique ID, such that if the vandals are within that particular sensing unit, it will be able to give the exact location within which the digging or vandalization is taking place. So, also, we have patrol officers in patrol vehicles. We are recommending spaced 200 kilometers apart. Now, like I said earlier, our pipeline cuts across over 5,000 kilometers. We are now saying that there are going to be patrol vehicles 200 kilometers apart across the line of the pipelines installed in Nigeria. Now, if that is done, now the control center itself will see the signal coming from the SUs. When the control center sees the signal, the patrol vehicle also sees the same signal. But the control center monitors both the patrol vehicles as well as seeing the signal to see what actions and within what time. So the patrol vehicles are not at laxity to say that, oh, they take actions when they want to take actions. So the control center monitors both the patrol vehicles that have armed personnel, as well as some locals, as we recommend based on the local problems we have. Basically, to be employed because they know the terrain and they will to understand how the armed security personnel can be able to navigate within the terrain of where the pipelines are. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I was having issues with my system. So now the messages that are sent to the control centers as well as the patrol vehicle has alert messages containing the date of the suspicious activity, the exact time of the suspicious activity when it commenced, the type of suspicious activities that is detected. Now they are separated. I will give more explanation to that. All right. And the confidence level of the system's detection. Why the confidence level? The truth of the matter is our pipelines are installed in different terrain. Some pass through farmlands. Some are through paths whereby people can walk through. So is the sensing unit going to detect all this? Let's say there's a farm close to where the pipeline is, and there's a digging within that particular pipeline area. Note that the right of way of pipeline, the government has secured 3.5 meters apart from where pipelines are installed. So people can actually do whatever activities they wish within after 3.5 meters that basically the federal government have secured as a right of way. So in essence, it could be a farmland close to these pipelines. So are we not saying that when there's digging within that specific area where the pipeline is traveling, then it will be able to detect that digging, and armed personnel will be moving up and down and notice that there are farmers, not really those trying to vandalize the pipeline. So what we did in this instance is trying to be able to separate real threats in those specific areas, all right, real threats. Now, time factor is also part of it. We note, and from our data, took cognizance of the time it takes to expose the pipeline, the time it takes for a particular point of digging, the time it takes to drill the pipeline. All those are part of our algorithm for us to be able to separate between real threats and possibly non-real threats, and be able to give a confidence level in percentage as to whether such area or detection for vandalization is actual or not. However, it will be seen that there are signals from that. Then it will be able to tell the confidence level of those signals to see whether action should be taken or action should not be taken. Also, another thing that's also the message sent from the SUs to the control center as well as the patrol vehicles is the GPS location, the latitude and the longitude, so that we're able to know the exact location of where this vandalization is taking place. However, in as much as it's given the latitude and longitude, what we did in this design is that there's going to be a map that is in the system for the patrol vehicles as well as the control center. So each SU has its unique ID. So immediately there is detection from a particular SU, you see a red light that will indicate the exact location because they have already been traced. We know all the parts of the pipeline. So if a particular ID is triggered, all right, we know the specific location. So it's easy without using GPS location because of areas that at times, basically the GPS could fail. Immediately there is detection and it's transmitted. You know the particular SU in which basically detected attempt on digging for the pipeline, as such that specific location can be traced. Also, the driving direction to the GPS location of the suspicious activity can also be located. That is easy. That is a known technology already existing. Now, what I've explained so far is summarized to say that the raw seismic signal received by drone phones is analyzed. Once that signal is greater than 0, activity is detected by the geophones. Now, when the activity is detected, the frequency and amplitude signal is analyzed to classify the activity as a threatening or not threatening activity. Like I said earlier, that because the pipeline are passing through different terrain, we classify this as real threat or non-real threat. So the second stage signal analysis to confirm threats of detection. That is where timing can come in. Timing can come in as well as what type of it. Is it that people are working on vehicles are moving around that specific area, or what type of threat? If it is minor, the confidence level is given. So that is why the threat activity confirmation and alarm confidence is calculated, and that value is given to show whether it is real threat or not. Then it also acquires GPS location of threatening activities as well as send vandalization alert to authorize phone numbers and line managers. We also require that the control centers will not just be independent. We also said that the line managers that can also receive these, such that there will be a control also to the control centers, such that line managers will also receive this alert because of the losses that we know. So a lot of persons will be involved to ensure that actions are taken when necessary. Then send vandalization alert to control centers. So these are the algorithm as to how our system is designed to be able to detect vandalization attempts. Now, what we did was to first of all build a prototype. We built a prototype, whether that prototype with the geophones will be able to detect digging. And all we did was, first of all, is to have a soft sand. Soft sand is loose, so because it's loose, it might be a little bit not to sense, to not be able to detect vandalization because it's loose. And what we did, first of all, we have to use that. We use a bowl, we put sand, and we put our sensing unit under that particular sand, and we attempt to use our hands to attempt to dig the soft sand. And when it detected, starting with that, within 20 seconds from the onset of trying to dig that soft sand, it detected an attempt. So that shows that, yes, our system is working. Then we went further. These are the messages received within that particular prototype design, whereby it was able to identify that pipe protector ID number 0001, there's a vandalization attempt, and also giving us the latitude and the longitude of the specific location in which that is taking place. So all these are details that was captured for the prototype, and also the location. See the hostel, which is also close to where the pipeline is within environment where we use for our prototype testing. Now we went further to try to develop the actual product and do a re-testing of our product across the pipeline. There's a pipeline across that is in part of our university. We now said we want to do something very close to what is real. Now, as much as there's a right of way, so we could not go close to the right of way, but we know our sensing unit to cover, because it's just 3.5 meters right of way. So we installed our sensing unit close to just immediately after the right of way. We took permission from the university authority to give permission. We installed our sensing unit, which you can see in this picture, 10 cm below the earth's surface, and then try to simulate to see what we can achieve. This is the work done. You can see it here in this picture. Then what we did is simulated Vanda attempts to dig for the very oil and gas pipeline. The ST was using surveillance for it. You can see the difference. After from that location, we started digging gradually from where the SU is installed to see whether we will go to detect until we got to where it could not detect. And after that result, within every 10 seconds, we see that we receive alert messages giving all the different readouts. Like for instance, on this picture, you could see what was transmitted. You could see that we have the specific ID number, the pipe protector 001. You could see the time of the activity. You could see the type of activity, which is Vanda digging, right, based on the component. We could see the latitude. We could see the longitude, and we could also see the link to give us the location. So that is what we will see while trying to see whether our actual product is working effectively. And these are the results from that particular test, like the ID I mentioned, and all the different readouts as mentioned earlier, and the location where the digging was taking place. Now, okay, this is the data when we plot the graph of greater than 0 that we was able to detect an attempt of digging within the specific area. We used just one SU in this instance. Just one SU was able to cover 56 meters, above 15 meters, 56 meters across. If this is 0, we're not saying covered, we're able to detect within 28 meters this way and 28 meters this way, giving us 56 meters. That means when we cascade 8 sensing units together to give us close to about 400 meters. However, we are using the average of 50 because we know that we have different soil texture. So all of them, all the different areas will not give us the same result. And so to make sure that a minimum of 200 meters is covered, we cascaded to increase or amplify the signal that is coming out from the geophones, the sensing unit. We can be able to detect within 200 meters. And when we did that, we got our required results. Now, we are also saying that part of the design, all right, it can also use drones because we know that you don't expect armed personnel to just go into this terrain. Those vandalizing the pipeline, this business is also a big business. A lot of persons are involved. As such, they are ready to even attack armed personnel. So the armed personnel need to know the terrain. They need to see the terrain in which the attempt is being made. So we now said that the control from the SUs can also initiate drones that are within the patrol vehicles that are 200 kilometers from the area, within the parameters of where the patrol vehicles is supposed to cover and where the SUs are supposed to cover. So within that area, we can use drones in some specific area, most especially within Niger Delta, where we know that the boys could be very dreadful. They really don't care. They are ready to fight if they really determine. To do so, that means the armed personnel needs information to know the exact location, to know whether there are ambushes and the number of persons that are involved. So what we did is that we can integrate this to a drone such that all the information, especially the GPS location, is also sent to a drone that is automated, such that immediately that is done, this drone is within the patrol vehicles. We move with cameras so that we take pictures of the exact locations, the number of armed personnel, where they are. Then the armed personnel will now decide what type of actions they will take. Is it ground, is it air, or whatever they will do to see that they stop the vandals. One beautiful thing about this is that attempt is detected before they get to the pipeline. 10 seconds, max 20 seconds, depending on the cell, the type of soil. Before attempt on the pipeline is vandalized. That is a unique issue as compared to other type of security system for pipelines. Many are usually tied to the pipeline itself that we saw. That is why we believe ours is innovative. Tied to the pipeline, that means you need to expose the total already installed pipelines, except you are looking at the fresh installation from the one you design those fresh installations. But if we are looking at securing existing pipelines, first of all, our solution is key. We have nothing to do with the pipeline itself. Just that is the area in which the pipelines are being laid. For other type of security system, what you notice is that you have to expose the pipeline or dig across all the pipeline, then you now tie your sensors to those pipelines, so that when they are digging, when there are vibrations on the pipeline itself, before you go to detect that there are vandalization. So we are saying ours is unique, it's innovative, it will detect before you get to the pipeline. There's still time provided for armed personnel to come to those specific locations before you even get to the pipeline, to be able to secure that pipelines they are not vandalized at all. This research is also patented, all right? It's one of our patents that we have, and you can see the picture of the patent and the number that is patented. So it's a unique idea that we are bringing to the market. We also have looked at the over 5,000 kilometers across Nigeria that the pipelines are laid, and we are now saying that to secure the entire pipelines, we need about 25,005 sensing units, taking 200 meters apart, as well as 20 control centers, as well as 50 drones to be able to coordinate the security of the pipelines. Looking at the cost of this, we are going to save a lot of cost. The type of security being employed now for securing the pipeline is just manual, humans, and still because humans cannot, most especially in terrain with pipelines, cannot secure these pipelines. So vandalization of the pipelines is still taking place. So this can be integrated into the security architecture of pipelines, and this, we believe, we're going to solve the problem of vandalization of our pipelines, and we're going to save a lot of money which is lost because of vandalization of the pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that lovely presentations. Please, I would like to plead with you to just hold on, for there are questions coming in already, and by the panel session, the moderator would kindly ask those questions and would need some more clarifications. Thank you very much once again, sir. Please, a round of applause for that presentation. Still in special presentations, our next presenter is also online, and he is engineer Musa Muhammad. His topic he will be presenting to us is artificial intelligence in upstream oil and gas, modern trends. While we get him live, we would like to read a brief summary of his portfolio. Engineer Musa Muhammad is the Research and Development Directorate at Cypher Crescent. He holds a BSc in Chemical Engineering from the University of Lagos. and a Master of Process Systems Engineering from Cranfield University, United Kingdom.
Recording stopped.
He is the General Manager of the Research and Amplified Development Directorate at Cypher Crescent. Two of his passions are scientific computing and engineering problem solving, and he gets to combine them at Cypher Crescent, where they blaze the trail in providing solutions to challenging engineering problems in the oil and gas industry through the use of advanced mathematical modeling and optimization techniques. Please, a round of applause as we make welcome Engineer Musa Muhammad to give his presentation.
Thank you very much. Please, the previous speaker should unshare so that I can share my screen and my presentation. Hello, can I be heard?
We are working on it currently, sir.
All right. There's a message here saying host disabled participant screen sharing. So maybe you may need to rectify that as well.
Okay, sir, you'll be made the co-host now, sir.
All right.
Okay, sir, you can start sharing now, sir.
All right. So give me a couple of seconds.
Hello, kindly confirm you can hear us, Engineer Musa Muhammad, as we await your slides.
I'm struggling to hear. I think I may need to leave and reconnect back.
Okay, sir.
2021. Theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26th to 27th, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akiewumi. keynote speaker upstream, Mansour Sambo, keynote speaker midstream, Tolulope Longe, keynote speaker policy, Olamide Moses. Panel Session 1, Gas Monetization and Utilization in Nigeria, Opportunities for Optimization Using Technology. Panel Session 1 moderator, Engineer Joseph Nwakwe. Panelists, James Oguleye, Ismail Mohammed, Enamikbong Ngobia. Panel Session 2, Crude Oil Production, Tracking and Volume Optimization Using Technology, Pipeline Surveillance, Produce Water Treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel Session 2 moderator, Obiagili Okeke. Panelists, Ihoma Ndoeche, Ms. Prince Abango, Simeon Okara. Special presentations, Dr. God's Will of Walagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Hosts, Engineer Oduayo Oladuba. Register via SPEBenin.com. The SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. See you there. SPE Benin, Nigeria section presents the third SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. Theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26th to 27th, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akiewumi. Keynote speaker upstream: Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream: Tolulope Longe. Keynote speaker policy: Olamide Moses. Panel Session 1, Gas Monetization and Utilization in Nigeria, Opportunities for Optimization Using Technology. Panel Session 1 moderator, Engineer Joseph Nwakwe. Panelists, James Oguleye, Ismail Mohammed, Enamikbong Ngobia. Panel Session 2, Crude Oil Production, Tracking and Volume Optimization Using Technology, Pipeline Surveillance, Produce Water Treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel Session 2 moderator, Okeke. Panelists, Ihoma Ndoeche, Mr. Prince Abango, Simeon Okara. Special presentations, Dr. God's Will of Walagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Hosts, Engineer Oduayo Oladuba. Register via SPEBenin.com. The SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. See you there. SPE Benin, Nigeria section presents the third SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. Theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26th to 27th, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akiewumi. Keynote speaker upstream: Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream: Tolulope Longe. Keynote speaker policy: Olamide Moses. Panel Session 1, Gas Monetization and Utilization in Nigeria, Opportunities for Optimization Using Technology. Panel Session 1 moderator, Engineer Joseph Nwakwe. Panelists, James Oguleye, Ismail Mohammed, Enamikbong Ngobia. Panel Session 2, Crude Oil Production, Tracking and Volume Optimization Using Technology, Pipeline Surveillance, Produce Water Treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel Session 2 moderator, Obiagili Okeke. Panelists, Ihoma Ndoeche, Mr. Prince Abango, Simeon Okara. Special presentations, Dr. God's Will of Walagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Hosts, Engineer Oduayo Oladuba. Register via SPEBenin.com. The SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. See you there. SPE Benin, Nigeria section presents the third SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. Theme: Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26th to 27th, 2021. Venue: Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor: Tunji Akiewumi. Keynote speaker upstream: Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream: Tolulope Longe. Keynote speaker policy: Olamide Moses. Panel session 1: Gas monetization and utilization in Nigeria. Opportunities for optimization using technology. Panel session 1 moderator: Engineer Joseph Wakwe. Panelists: James Ogunleye, Ishmael Mohammed, Enamikbong Ngobia. Panel session 2: Crude oil production, tracking and volume optimization using technology. Pipeline surveillance, produce water treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. Panel session 2 moderator: Obiageli Okeke. Panelists: Ihoma Ndoeche, Mr. Prince Abango, Simeon Okara. Special presentations: Dr. God's Will of Walagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Hosts:
Good day,
Engineer
ladies and gentlemen,
Ojoayo
once again.
Oladuba.
First
Register
of all, I'd
via.
like to apologize for the technical difficulties we are facing. But just to clarify, it's not from our end, as the presenter is having a bit of technical glitch, which is being worked on right now. While we wait for that, we would like to proceed to the panel session for today. And I would love and rather, to welcome the moderator per excellence, Mrs. Obiageli Okeke, who is the production operations specialist for Owando Energy Services. She'll be joining us online for this panel session. Please a round of applause as we welcome her. Also, we have Mrs. Ihoma Ndoche, who is the Business Development Technical Unicel Limited, who will be a panelist for this section with topic crude oil production, tracking and volume optimization using technology, pipeline surveillance, produce water treatment, and oil spill detection in the Niger Delta. She'll be joining us here in person and would like to welcome her to the podium. Please, a round of applause as she comes to the podium. Joining us live also is Mr. Prince Abangu. He is the Division Manager, Digital and Integration Manager for Nigeria, Schlumberger. He will be joining us virtually as he's already connected. Please, a round of applause as we welcome Mr. Prince Abangu. Last but not the least, we have with us the MD, Fortis Engineering Services Limited, Mr. Simeon Okara, who is joining us virtually as a panelist for this panel session 2. Please, a round of applause as we welcome Mr. Simeon Okara. Now, I would like to yield the floor to the moderator per excellence, Mrs. Obiageli Okeke, to hand over the panel session. You're welcome, ma.
Okay, can I go ahead? Good morning. Please, can you confirm that you can hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hear me? Okay, I hope the auditorium can hear me.
Yes, we can
All right,
hear
good
you
morning,
also.
ladies and gentlemen. Standing on all existing protocols, I'd like to once again welcome everyone to this symposium, SPE Benin, and to this special panel session titled Crude Oil Production Tracking and Volume Optimization Using Technology. Our focus and our emphasis today will be on pipeline surveillance, reduced water treatment, and spill detection in the Niger Delta. okay? In recent times, some of the oil majors have considered divesting most of their onshore assets because of many years of struggle with oil spillage resulting from crude theft and sabotage, as well as other operational constraints. These challenges, the consequences of these challenges are not new to us at all. It spans from revenue loss to environmental impact, to community unrest, to infrastructural damage. The keynote speaker this morning mentioned a bit of it, to even the impact on the well performance, to loss of life and even reputational damage on the part of the company. So therefore, tracking every volume of crude is fundamental to us in oil and gas, as well as optimizing production, especially from those aging wells. We must continue to seek how to reduce our development and our losses. This morning, the guest speaker mentioned that according to the last NIMT report, about $41.9 billion have been lost over the last 10 years to crude theft. That's not a good report at all. Therefore, understanding these challenges and adopting technology must be considered to ensure that each volume from the well all the way to the export point, must be optimized. Given our current economic climate, every barrel of crude counts. Today we will be discussing the role of technology in crude tracking and in volume optimization. I am delighted to moderate this session, and I'm here with our very experienced and very knowledgeable panelists. I want to welcome you once again, and without wasting any more time, we'll go into the panel session. To begin, we will start with our opening remarks from each of our panelists. Given a time contract of 1 hour, so in the next 5 minutes each, we would ask that the panelists give us your opening remarks, and let us just hear your initial thoughts on the topic, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much. I'd like to start with Mrs. Thomas, since you're here with us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and you're welcome to FOPES 2021. The talk. Can you hear me? Technical. Can you hear me? Those here, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. So I said, good morning, everyone, and welcome to FOPES 2021, and it's a pleasure to be here. The topic, it's very relevant in these times, and optimizing. When I hear the word optimizing, the first thing that comes to my mind is, like you mentioned, how do you reduce losses in crude oil production, while maximizing production? And if you check the issue of losses could be as a result of leaks, and this could be also as a result of age. They could also be as a result of process failure or vandalization, as a keen earlier speaker did justice to the issues of theft. Another huge area of loss is a human error, especially with metering, and some of these errors could be, if I may say, intentional or non-intentional, and that is because of the human interface in metering, and the aim of the discussion, it's a sensitization, is to see ways we can use technology to arrest these situations. There are existing technologies in place, listening from yesterday till today. I believe a lot that the industry can lay hold on. There are technologies for pressure monitoring at the wellhead, in surveillance. There is also technology to get to your bottom hole pressures from the surface, and embracing this technology is key. However, I believe the issue we need to wrap our thoughts around are the issues. I believe the issues we need to wrap our heads around are the issues with adoption. But the challenge before us is, why are we not implementing, and why are they not massively adopted? So I believe that this program is part of the sensitizations that needs to go on, and identifying the stakeholders that are involved in this. I see three stakeholders. I see the operators, I see the regulators, and I also see the technologies is being driven by the service providers. So having this kind of environment where the stakeholders meet and rub minds and align, I believe it will go far in leveraging on technology to solve the challenges in production optimization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bikoman. What I gathered is that there's many other reasons why we have losses. Apart from food theft, we talked about the age of the infrastructure in place causing leaks. We talked about process failure and vandalization. We talked about human error, and especially errors in metering. Thank you so much. You also told us to focus on adoption and regulation of technology, because we do not have a shortage of technology in the system. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next speaker. The next panelist very quickly, Mr. Prince. Please let us have your thoughts on this matter.
Thank you again. Just confirm if you can hear me okay.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone, and indeed, I want to take this opportunity to give kudos to the SPE Benin for putting this together. When you look at the entire value chain of our business, many a times we dwell so much on finding the reserves, getting the sufficient volumes found in the subsurface. But then, when it is time to really bring this out to the tanks and those stations, we seem to get bogged down with multiple issues. So that underscores the criticality of the conversation that we have today. And indeed, very well done to the presentations already done. And I think, when you look at the fact that you have to get this build of the hydrocarbon out of the reservoir up to your wellhead, and then you need to move it from there. You're not asking, why are you talking volume optimization? I already know what I have in the subsurface, right? I know how much reserves, how much barrels are down there. So what do I need to optimize further? But then it goes beyond that. When you expect a certain volume to flow to your tanks, and of course make it to your off-takers, and apparently it doesn't happen, then you see that there is a problem, and there's a disconnect in that value chain. So I think the conversations around taking the volume from point A, which is out of the reservoir to the wellhead, from the wellhead to the fuel stations, and then all the way to the off-takers, becomes very, very critical, because whatever you do, you don't get this, you don't get to monetize the hydrocarbon, the cycle is not complete, and you don't end up with the right amount of money in the bank, which ultimately is the basis for the business that we are in. So going from that point A to point B, now there are several factors driven by conditions of temperature, pressure, and as well environmental factors. We heard about issues around people, around aging of facilities, So I think those are all very fundamental components, and I believe in this panel session we will have the time to really talk about some of these issues, the role of technology, and as well maybe some mindset change. If only we can realize that until the crude or the hydrocarbon makes it to the off-taker and as well and indeed to the consumers, we don't make money from it, irrespective of how much barrels and we can boast of, until we are able to translate those barrels to dollars. We don't have a complete business cycle. So I just like to drop it there for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Prince. It's really points here. Our focus needs to be on policies, and also it's important that we have the right mindset when going into this business, because at the end of the day, we're here to make money. So mindset changes is something that must be considered. We move on to you, Mr. Cynthia, please have the stage. Now we can. It seems a bit shaky, but just keep talking. poll for today. Can I ask the organizers to please put up the first poll? And we encourage everyone in the audience to partake in the poll and let us have your thoughts on this one poll. At the same time, the question and answer box is also open, so feel free to drop in your questions and then we will take them from time to time. Thank you. While we wait for, we have some questions already that are coming for Dr. Goswell. Dr. Goswell will quickly take this question before the other questions start to trickle, just so that we don't lose track of what it is that we have today. Also, I have some other questions from the panelists which we'll quickly take, and hopefully we'll have everything going one hour. Dr. Goswell, there's a question for you here. There's a question actually quite similar. Question is, considering that the pipeline vinyl detectors are made of sensors, how will the depth of burial affect its transmissibility? Also, will conditions like water affect its lifespan? And if yes, how long or how often should maintenance or replacement be done? Okay, and the second question is quite similar, so I suggest you keep them together. It says, what is the durability of the detector in terms of battery capacity and the lifespan of the equipment? Is it water resistant? Okay, can you just take that first? Okay.
Thank you so much, the panelists, and those that freedom. Thank you for the fine question. Sorry, I was not able to go into that detail, but I was looking at the most critical issue. But the question is quite fine, looking at the fact that the SPEs are unique. There is no independent policy. So the question is the depth, how the depth of the special intensive transmission is a good one. Now, if you look at some of the drawings that we want to go back to the slide, you see that we are using, for our first case, we are using a neural network. The system transmission as a ball, such that no matter what it is, alright, the network in which we can detect polarization from a particular SE is not an issue at this point. Note, we also mentioned that the SE that is called 10 meters, 10 cm below the surface of the earth. Just like when you're in a closed unit, even when you're closed, you can communicate. So if it's stored outside, so that you can 10 cm, communication will be very effective. Now, in the case of water, these SUs are in water-resistant materials, such that it's not affected by water. However, availability. The additional devices are very useful, but when it comes to fire, what we did is that the system is integrated with the control centers such that the retest of the system to see how effective it is also transmitted to the system. For instance, you see the status of the battery. The status of the battery from the controller that part of the system is also transmitted from the control center. So if the battery is going below the required minimum amount of needed, and calculations are made such that the type of battery you use to use your battery has the lifespan of minimum 5 years, and calculated is in such a way that the new battery is not used to serve as a problem. Now, with that, there's what we did is that the system is not as good except activated by you. So in this case, the batteries are not actually consuming so much power from me. The sensors are not supposed to consume power from the batteries because their action is equal except activated. Just like the system when you use it, except the press the button in the way. So we stop the test so that they need the system taking minimal current until the trigger coming from DB. Then other activities where the person will do the sense and for monitoring will be done, then transmitted to the station. And try to take all the questions
believe if they have any more questions, they can put it in the chat box. Even if you won't take it right away, you will take it after the meeting, and then we can take some time to answer it directly. Moving on very quickly, can I please ask the organizers to please put up the first poll so that we can have participation of the audience? And then while we're waiting for that, my very first question for today goes to Mr. Prince. So Prince, what are the major challenges encountered in deploying technology-based solutions for food tracking and volume optimization? And what are the success rates around sub-Saharan Africa? If you can briefly answer that first. You're muted, so you can hear me.
All right, yes, you can hear me now. Okay, I didn't make mention of the essence of the mindset. So, and why I'm bringing that, throwing it out there is, we took many investments having these pipelines, right? Or having these facilities. When the process of installation was done, it was done through communities. Farmer sensitization was done to the host communities on the essence of the facilities that have gone through the environment. I don't think we do a good job. And this is why I think we need change to go and say, but then we are where we are and we can move. Because many times we make subsequent investments trying to protect something that the communities could have been the ones protecting it if they see that there is significant value that it brings to them. Now, if we go and talk, if we talk about some of the challenges about that we encounter in technology deployment, they're numerous. And this is why I started talking about the post. The very critical thing is security. And security in two perspectives. There is theft and there is vandalization. So, sometimes you want to monitor what is happening in these facilities, and you spend a lot of money deploying technology, and in a matter of days, it's gone. So, that's a big issue. Other issue is about power. Now, I think it was Mr. Grossfield that was talking about, the battery life. Some of these equipment, most of them, they run on power. And for them to, especially if they are on remote locations where you depend on the power to transmit data, and as well receive data, to the device, in order to effect some populations into your overall system. You realize that you need quite a lot of strong battery power. So the solution to them can be at least install solar panels where we can leverage solar power to recharge these batteries and reduce the frequencies to really go maybe change batteries or do some services. Now, if you solve that problem of power, you create another problem. And the problem you created is that you have brought a solar panel for someone to come pick up and probably install in his house. So, that again comes back to the community. If there is value that is transferred from that facility answer is no. Now, the other challenge is infrastructure. So, the way we should be running actually, we ought to at this time have every facility connected with devices that can effectively not just transmit data, but also receive commands based on analytics. Receive command and maybe change temperature, pressure. For example, if you have a pipeline where you want to stay at a particular temperature pressure regime in order to avoid things like mass precipitation or hydrates, depending on the course if you're in the offshore environment, you want to be able to monitor this, and when you see that from your dashboard that the conditions are getting to the point where you are exceeding your threshold, you want to be able to send a command to vary conditions within the facilities. And that means you're supposed to have an exchange server, otherwise it can be on the cloud, where you are able to have this information processed and then rerouted. Those facilities comes from some good investment in infrastructure. Today we do not have any cloud server in our region, and even if we create private servers, we are also limited in terms of bandwidth. So how much bandwidth do we need today? Are we able to effectively source this from the infrastructure we have?
Thank you very much, Mr. Cruz. I have to, because of time, I've been told that I have to manage my time. Thank you for those excellent points. A few challenges that you mentioned structure and limitations that we've had. You mentioned power constraints, and that's not new to those of us who live in Nigeria. And also indicated that even where we resort to using alternative energy like solar panels, we also have to deal with them being stolen or vandalized by people. Okay, very quickly, I just want to go into the results of the first poll, and then I'll take the next question, which will be directed to you, Mr. Imola. The first question of the poll says, which of the following best describes the reason for pipeline destruction in the Niger Delta? And we had our first option on inefficient remuneration to community by operating companies. 2, poverty and zero sense of nationalism, which happens to be the most popular answer. 3, inefficient pipeline protective systems in place. And 4, lucrative oil improvements. So yes, of course, the popular answer here is poverty and zero sense of nationalism by our vandals and people who go to tamper with that. So Mr. Speaker, while we touch a little bit on the results of this poll, I'd also like you to speak a little bit, with your background in community and social services, what are the key drivers of community cost oil skills, and what is the role of technology in its prevention? If you just want to take those together, that would be the little quick. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, Prince actually hit it on the nail there, because the issue of vandalization and all the security network that is being put in place is almost as old as the oil industry in Nigeria. And it appears that we've not had an integrated solution to it. This should not even appear in the first place. If the community see how see how it affects them, He did mention that they are supposed to be the one protecting it, and now they are the one destroying it. And so this goes to say that the operators perhaps need to, they have done things over the years, But looking at it, you find out that it only favors a small section of key people in those catchment areas. If you've had the opportunity to go through most of the oil exploration areas, I think they are one of the poorest places you can think of. And so this is something that, apart from technology, because what we're looking at is technology, but I believe that the technology is like a short to medium-term solution. We should have a long-term solution, which is where these communities begin to see those assets as beneficial to them. And so I would want operators to have a strategic outlook on this issue. While on the interim, we may have to make do with community policing, security mapping, and these detectors using technology. But they are not a long-term solution. Operators need to look at solutions that reach the whole community and not just a section of the people. And this has been in play over the years in those areas. We need to look at things that stimulate economic development in those areas. We need to look at about power. We need to look at education. We need to look at health care. And no one man can take claim of those things, you know, rather than voting out huge sums and settling perhaps the leader of the community or their representative. I think looking for solutions that reach the whole community will be a more lasting solution to this, while we still implement these technologies we have in place now.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ibola. That's an excellent piece from you. Without wasting much time, I'm going over to you, Mr. Simon. There's a question for you in the chat box from Joseph Khalil. At the same time, I have one of mine together, which is quite similar. So I'll just take it and you can just take it together. So just as I said to Mr. Simeon, do you have a predictive monitoring system to monitor the integrity of the process systems in real time rather than being reactionary? Okay, I also have one question that says, can you please share some practical or innovative solutions adopted to overcome oil spill challenges in the Niger Delta? Earlier during your opening remarks, you alluded to the fact that you had told us about some technology that you had, your team or your company, had put in place. This would be a good time to answer Joseph's question as well as that one too. Over to you. Your phone is muted. You're muted, so you want to be explained.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much for this. And I would like to take two questions. I said, consider it like I mentioned before, one of the key things I want to also is assessment, which has been the integrity of the pipeline that results in so now the preventive aspect is what should be a priority and letting it happen before you start remediation. Now I give you an instance. One of the companies has a major drop line, right? So they experienced a corrosion leak from 6 pumps, right, that led to spill. Our foreign investigation showed that the leak was a result of really microbial-induced corrosion as well as CO2 corrosion, both combined together. Now this pipeline, this set pipeline was inspected 3 years back before that time. And because statutorily, you should inspect or run your delivery of pipeline every 5 years. So within the last 5 years and the next one, some things can happen within that time that you need to know. Right? Now, in the last record we have was inspection of the IP data we have. But then actually made them incur some losses. Because when those things happen, obviously the environment was polluted and they quickly shut down our pipeline and it was out for like 6 to 7 months to has a long time to shut production going on that pipeline. So what that means is that the company has procured a lot of losses, and as well as the host communities affected wasn't compensated, while the obligation of that work will continue. So what we have done is that we brought out or collaborated with other units that brought out a technology called smart pins. So the smart pins is a tool that we install those pipelines to continue to monitor the water thickness of that pipe. You don't necessarily need to prepare. What you need to do is to go install that on the location in which you want to monitor, while it sends the data remotely, through a gateway that you receive just from the computer to the convenient place. So what that technology does for you is that it reduces the number of people who need there to go there every now and then. As a matter of fact, there are security challenges we have in the country. So it reduces your man-hour time that you spend on those particular or inspections. So with this monitoring technology, you'll be able to predict when failure can happen on those pipelines. So with the data you have after analysis, with computer analysis, and because it's real time, sending data real time from the field, and seeing those data, you can be able to go through this data analysis to say, fine, I think from this point I need to carry out a remediation on this pipeline. Or even the losses or what metal loss are seen. And from a monitoring, I don't think we have to fail because it's consistent. So this is the technology we've got on board. It's been discussed or discussions ongoing within some of the companies and they've also received quite opportunities. So I think if we do technology as one of the fastest means to be able to protect our environment without dominating that process, then I think schools are supposed to.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very interesting. I mean, more predictive tools and predictive technology, I believe, will be more welcome because in our world today, it's almost everything we have is reactionary, everything we have is we are reacting after the thing has been done, and the damage has been done. So we'll, of course, if any tool or technology are put in place that can predict and can prevent, the incident from happening, it will be more than welcome. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We'll talk a little bit more on water treatment, and I'd like Mr. Ifuma to take this one. I think part of our focus today is on the way we produce water. Given the age of wells in the Niger Delta and increasing water production encountered, could you please elaborate on the role of technology in produced water management, especially in the marginal field operations? And as a follow-up to that question, could you just tell us what your company Ucell is doing in terms of water treatment as a cost-saving measure, particularly in a world where post-COVID-19 and cost is key. Everyone's talking about cost management and cost savings. So what advice and what would you like to tell us today in regards to water treatment as an important optimization strategy?
The goal of every operator is to get oil and not water. However, over time, we may refer to the water as, it has been referred to or as waste. Produced water treatment or produced water has been seen as a waste, and there is existing technology to deal with produced water. Two options, either to dispose the water or to treat the water. However, we have laws guiding water disposal in the country and even around the world, So there has been technologies that treats first stage is usually through gravity separation, and but that water is not fit enough to be disposed into the environment. there is usually a second stage treatment where most of the technologies, one of the technologies is induced gas flotation. What it basically does is to inject gas into the water stream, and that gas gives any entrapped oil some buoyancy, which is skimmed off at the top. And for cases of disposal, there is also a third stage treatment where it's basically about using polishers. A polisher is like filters or absorbent filters with large porosity. What they do is they trap any entrained oil or chemicals. And this has been able to deliver purity of less than 5 ppm, which is very good for disposal. Especially in marginal fields where most of them are remote, to think about evacuating water to a disposal site or putting trunk lines for water disposal. So the option is actually to treat the water and dispose, or to treat. There's been an increasing usefulness of water. So the innovation in produced water management is where water is being seen as a resource. You know, most of our reservoirs are water-driven. So this water is now injected back into the reservoir and used for water flooding. That is one key usefulness that produced water is being used for, although it's treated first. And the thing about this, another solution can be to also evaporate the water. There is no one solution fits all. The thing about water management is to first of all see it as a pragmatic approach. Look at the terrain, and you mentioned what my company does. It has to do with every situation. Every situation is specific. You know, in a situation where there is no plan for injection, like if you have a new marginal field, water reinjection might be like a second phase plan. So on the onset, the option is to treat and dispose. So what the solution we offer is a modular and a phased approach, and that is where the optimization comes into place. You see, most marginals, the key issues they have is cash flow and economies, you know. And what we do is we're able to adapt to the production at the moment. If you have a marginal field provider who is traditionally, the way for exploration and facility production would be to drill a batch of wells and then cap it and then put some good capital investment into making an upside facility. And you see, this comes with a lot of redundancy. And this is where we're talking about optimization. You know, if the plan is to have like 100,000, but you're not going to drill all those wells at the same time. So the approach we have towards this, it's a modular approach where we're able to follow the marginal field providers based on their current production. So this reduces redundancy. Okay, if they have
Thank you. I'm trying to keep my time. I'm trying to keep my time. Okay, well, thank you so much. I mean, when I hear 5 p.m., you know, something that excites me, because that's much lower than, you know, even the regulatory agreement. So we'll maybe want to look into that, you know, after this session. Talk about water loading and injection and implementation of technology and other issues, you know, other suggestions like also evaluation of the water. Something again that you mentioned great, and invite you, to take the next question. So the second poll, the question is, what is the primary reason for the delay in complete implementation / adoption of common technology-based solutions in the Nigerian oil and gas industry? Option one is the industry dominated by experienced hands, with very little room for change in technology. Option two, easy hydrocarbon extraction and processing in Nigeria. Number three, high capital investment to justify the results of implementation. And finally, low tolerance for innovation in the system that requires the market system. And the most popular answer, actually very close, is the high capital investment to justify the result of implementation of technology. If you could just, let's just have your thoughts on that and just share a little bit more light on that. And then thereafter, want to also, okay, let me take that first, and then I will talk about the other question. Again, your point is muted.
Thank you. All right, so I do, whenever cost comes to the table, everyone will want to, especially when it comes to technology, the first, inclination is super expensive. But then we should take a step beyond that and ask ourselves, what value are we getting out of this technology? Because we should always measure cost against the value. And saying that capital investment to justify result implementation is the most popular reason why we have debating technology adoption. Is actually the case, but should that be our reality? The answer is no. Our reality should be we ought to be technically sound enough to make that assessment between cost and value. For example, I think Simeon really talk about the need to be more predictive, for smart technology. But I would want to go a step beyond that to say that we also ought to actually enter into analytics. And what do I mean? When you are just taking data from a device and analyzing that data using some algorithm or machine learning, the missing component is that you want to be able to, from good HSC standpoint, influence what is happening in that remote location. And that is when analytics comes in. And again, I didn't have time to elaborate on this while I touched on some of the points I have mentioned. But then we are moving from just predicting, where after prediction, you would need someone to physically go to the site and intervene. We are now at the point where we want to predict and leverage analytics and either edge or cloud solutions or on-prem solutions, on-prem technology to send command to a device at the website. In that instance, you have saved money from people that would take a trip, security, and of course, lots of spend on logistics. So when we want to see the full value of technology, we need to really look at it from end to end, and not what we are spending at the first instance. For example, we have a solution called Agora. And Agora is, it's just a solution that sits, from connecting between the device and the website, sits at the edge, and can link to either a cloud or on-premise solution, has analytical capability to take the data from the analyze, look at the expression which you set, send a command back, no human intervention, to say, okay, now we know what the problem is, send the man out. So you see, with that, you have made some first investment in have saved people from risking their lives, taking unnecessary trips to go to the website. You have also saved quite a lot in logistics and transportation. So are we looking at the full value of technology, or are we just looking at the initial spend? That is the problem. So we need to take a step back and look at the entire chain of dependencies that this technology will impact, and then we can effectively evaluate, how much value they can have.
So you agree with the results of the poll? So it is high capital investment.
I don't know personally. It's our mindset.
Yeah.
If we analyze it, we will see that honestly the value outweighs the cost. Over time.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. We have a quick question from Hillary here. It says, we are aware stakeholders' involvement is pertinent in operations optimization. What tools and techniques are useful in reducing lack of their engagement? I think the focus here is really why are people not engaged and why they not utilizing the tools and the techniques that have been made available. Do you want to touch on that just a little bit?
Please, can you take the question again?
Okay, so she says, or he says, we are aware of stakeholders' involvement, or we are aware that stakeholders' involvement is pertinent in operations optimization. What tools and techniques are useful in reducing lack of their engagement? So I'm imagining the question here means there is a lack of utilization or there's a lack of engagement by the stakeholders, and I guess what advice can you give, to get stakeholders to be more engaged in, the tools and the techniques that have been made available? Okay, I hope I have rated that properly.
Just try to address that from using an example.
Yeah, briefly take it. Thank you.
There is a technology that is available for leak detection. Okay, and what it does is on the basis of fiber optics, where you have fiber optics already on the pipeline, and then that fiber optics is on real time sensing movement around tracking, and then of course any form of leak, right? Now, if we ask ourselves, for example, if we take pipeline and if there are stakeholders, two critical things that will create a problem is either you have issues in the pipeline, which can be wax type of issues, or you have a leak which sort of goes from inside the pipeline to the surface of the pipeline, and then you have external intrusion. So that external intrusion is a function of the environment, it's a function of the host community. Now, if we make investments and put this leak detection technology, where we are able to sense, remotely what is going on around the pipeline, movement around the pipeline, temperature pressure change around the pipeline, we solve one problem. Now, but the other problem is around someone physically going to open it up. So the entire system needs to speak to each other. That's my opinion. If we have that understanding, I think we will engage differently. For example,
it'll be easier to adopt. Sorry, I know you have a lot more to say. I'll come back to you real quickly. Mr. Simeon, I do have a question for you. I have one more in the chat box, but I have one which really I want to touch a little bit on human interface. So I have a question here that says, could you please elaborate on the role of human interface in automation? And a follow-on question is, will the adoption of technology pose a risk to job security in the oil and gas industry? If you want to just talk to us a little bit about that briefly. Your phone is muted, or your computer is muted. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Did you get the question?
process failure, which has to do with corrosion, stress along the pipeline, age of pipeline, etc. But regardless of the cause, the people and the environment negatively are affected, and the company will also spend a lot of money to do remediation, clean up and compensation of the affected communities. Now, we need to start doing things differently, and the companies as well should be able to adopt already known technologies and some innovations currently ongoing. Consider seeing how they can develop that and deploy those innovations. Now, seeing how it affects human security, human security. See, technologies are not totally to replace humans. Humans are meant to complement the use of technology. Now, but the approach looks different here in Nigeria because when we talk about technology, the first thing the person thinks about is, oh, you bring this technology here, it means I'm no longer useful, it means I have to go. No, it doesn't mean that. What that means is that we need to work differently from the usual way we're working. Now, some arguments about some people that always like things to remain the way they are. They are not adaptive to change. They like things the way we've always done it, let's continue to do it that way. It's going to still bring the same results that is currently going on. But if we take
Sorry, if I may just cut you short so that we can take in all of the answers. So from what I've heard from you, technology is not a risk to job security, and it doesn't replace the role of human beings and the role that human beings have to play in oil and gas. Thank you very much. I have a question in the chat box. What makes performing and this is for you, Mrs. Ifoma, please. What makes performing organizations not to consider stakeholders in hard decisions? I think that's pretty straightforward.
I didn't get you, please. Yes.
What makes performing organizations, I believe what makes operators and organizations in the oil and gas not to consider stakeholders in hard decisions? I think it's safe to assume that the stakeholders here are the community and every other person that is being affected or impacted by their operations. So it's assuming here that some companies or some organizations do not consider the stakeholders, when they are making decisions operationally, and do you know what the underlying reason for that can be, if you do agree with the question?
I believe the existing approach is, it's saying that the government owns everything. And first of all, in the acquisition, the first thing is about settling the government and getting your licenses right and all the regulatory requirements right. So on the issues of stakeholder apathy, I think it's something that they do consider. I don't want to believe that the operators don't consider, but it's not, the impact is not felt. That's what I would see it as. Although, if you're talking about the stakeholders with respect to the regulatory bodies, I wish that person would clarify on which stakeholders they're talking about. Looking at the team in question, are we talking about regulatory bodies? Or are we talking about service companies? Now, if I were to tie it to the earlier question on why we have like a stakeholder apathy, if you look at the way for technology adoption, should I use the servicing companies or the vendors? They drive technology, the operators adopt the technology, and then the regulators are the last people that get on board, And an event like this is one in which can be well utilized to get stakeholders, to get the regulators, to get the technology providers, and to get the operators in the same forum where they can understand themselves. And one of the key hindrances is cost. I want to throw some light on the issue of adoption of technology. The issue is that most of this cost seems to come in the form of capital cost. So when they come in this forum like this, you find out that when the technology providers understand the problems, they can proffer economic models that bring this cost in form of operating cost and not initial capital spend, because that initial capital spend may not be available at that time, and that's why it's as if there is a lag in technology adoption. And I also want to lay some word on the last question with respect to the jobs being provided. There is this fear that technology takes away the job. The fact is this: we must evolve. Technology, it's about evolving. While technology evolves, we as human beings, we need to evolve. While the traditional jobs seem to be swallowed up by technology, there are new opportunities being created. We are talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about data science, we're talking about data analysis, we're talking about machine learning. And so we must upscale ourselves. We must begin to think in those directions, because when technology is adopted, we need people to manage all this infrastructure and big data, AI. So the thing here is, while the traditional jobs are being lost, new opportunities are being created. And so we need to think in that line.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ihuma. I could listen to you all day. Thank you for that. We have one question here, although I think it's already been addressed one or the other. The deployment, from Hillary again, the deployment of best practice in monitoring and controlling of oil and gas facilities. Do you think it will bring more unemployment due to automation? I believe Mr. Simeon has talked a bit on employment and replacement of jobs, by technology. I have one more question. I think that's the last question we'll take, as I've been prompted that we don't have a lot of time left. A welcome one, Mr. Prince. This is for you. For instance, gas investment seems expensive on the capital cost point. However, the long-term advantage is that it's cheaper. Good. But in the case technology is marginally capital cost, here we can let go of technology and still produce millions of standard cubic feet of gas. And when we are clear, so I believe this is not a question, but it's also a comment or advice from Stephen. Thank you, Stephen, for that. I believe we are going to take one more question before we wrap up. To wrap up, I would like to take the panelists to give us their closing remarks. After everything, I think we'll just go ahead to the closing remarks. So each of you, please do wrap up and let us know your thoughts on the topic again from a closing standpoint. Also, if you hold any advice for the participants and the companies that are here, we would definitely like to hear that. I'd like to start with you, Mr. Simeon.
Me?
Okay. Mr. Simeon.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you very much for thanks for listening to the company. Very insightful. I'd like to ask my topic and very sensitive topic as to the and also very insightful. Now, my point or where I want to use this about is that technology is not going to replace people. People need to evolve, just like no one mentioned. I will still their work approach. Again, we need to see how we can sensitize, especially the companies or on new technologies to prevent this occurrence from happening. We will protect the people, we will protect the environment while making wonderful country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simeon. Mrs. Ihuma, your closing remarks, please.
Okay. I want to end by saying that technology has come to stay, and we cannot but accept it and embrace it. And I would also want to make an appeal to operators. The issue we have with slow adoption of technology most times has to do with funding. Let's approach it systematically and strategically. In your budget, create some room for technology. In your programs for the year, have vendor engagements where there is always a technology to meet you at your budget and at your need. And when you have these various vendor engagements, you will be able to understand and pick the one that suits your direct need and create a budget for implementing technology over time. If there's a phased and a planned approach towards it, I believe that we're going to see improved adoption of technology.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. And finally, friends.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, I want to say thank you to everyone. I think it's been a very engaging conversation, of course very enlightening as well. Just in closing, I think we can't overemphasize the importance of technology. And I want to just let us know that in this part of the world we are behind. So, which means we are losing gains in efficiency. I'm sure we all are aware about the campaign on driving unit operating cost of crude to less than below double digits. That campaign is all around all through the value chain, and the efforts that we make on investing in the right technology, limiting footprint of people that ultimately impact on human resource and logistics. Because those two, human resource and logistics, from analysis shared by NABIOS, contribute about 70% of the average use we have in our environment. So it's not really technology. So when we talk about technology being expensive, we are not investing enough. And when we invest, we are not doing it the right way. So I think we need to take a step back and look at the way we can adopt technology in a way that it frees up our people to be more productive, with the brain capacity that we have, rather than engaging in repetitive tasks. Every trip to the well site of the facility can be avoided. But if you put the cumulative cost that fits into that trip, security, logistics, personnel costs, you would imagine that investing a fraction of that into technology that is available today and already shown great successes and results globally will give you advantage. And indeed, when we talk about water treatment, it's important that we do not lose sight of the long-term effect of untreated water to our environment. Fractions of crude, fractions of hydrates, fractions of salt in water disposed of to the aquifer or to the environment we may not see the impact today, but if life continues for many decades to come, we will start seeing some strange sicknesses and diseases that we might not be able to understand its origin, and this could just be as a function of some of the wrong practices that we've adopted today. So these are very important conversations, and I just hope that the people who should do the right thing, take the right decisions, will listen, and get everyone to the table so we can move things in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prince. Thank you so much, everyone. There's one question here from Stephen Eze to Mr. Babatunde Musa. We're not going to have time to take that question, but I just would employ Mr. Musa to please provide the answer here in the chat box so that we can move to close the meeting. It's been a pleasure today. I learned a few things. I'm definitely being enriched. It's very apparent that we cannot do without technology. It's also important to note that technology is out there today. I've heard about smart things. I've heard about modular plants and scalable water treatment plants. I've heard about a few others that the one Mr. Simeon mentioned. If you want to just leave the names of the software in the chat box so that we can have access to the it even after we So like I said, today has been very enriching, and I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. I just want to thank you, our dear panelists, thank you, our participants, for all who asked the question and who took part in the poll. We're grateful. Thank you, SPE, for this opportunity, and we hope we will do this again very soon. Have a nice day, everybody.
Please keep clapping your hands for that wonderful panel session, moderated effectively. Just a quick recap of what we could have been able to jot down some things. First of all, technology has to be accepted. Whether you like it or not, the times are changing and we have to accept the change that comes with technology. Also, companies have to come together in applying or implementing those technologies in their day-to-day businesses. Also, personnel should not feel like they are threatened by the changes brought by technology. Rather, you need to adapt to those changes. So once again, let's put our hands together for the panelists and the moderator for that session. Thank you very much. Before we had the panel session, we had a bit of technical glitch, and we can confirm now that Engineer Musa Muhammad is back online to make his special presentation on artificial intelligence and upstream oil and gas, modern trends. Please, a round of applause for Engineer Musa Muhammad as he comes online to give his special presentation.
Good morning. Can I be heard? Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right. Sorry for the initial glitch. I think the issue has been sorted. I'll go right into the presentation without further ado. I'm going to start quickly with an introduction and then also a small discussion of machine learning and particular key component of machine learning, which is neural network. That is going to be followed by a discussion or an outline of the most recent trends in the application of AI in the oil and gas sector, and then their effect on accelerating and de-risking processes in the industry. And we shall discuss
Sorry, Engineer Musa, we are yet to get your slides on screen. Okay, thank you, sir. We can see the slides. Kindly help us with slides mode. Yes, it's now on slides. No, it's not yet on slide mode, sir.
Since you're sharing from Benin, if you start sharing, maybe you should be able to share. Okay, Mr. Musa, can you see where to share the slides? There is a green button down there. Okay, thank you.
I'm actually doing so, but for some reason it's not being on slide mode and
Right, I understand.
not saved. So
Can you try once again? It should work.
okay. Let me just try once again.
Okay, would you mind if they share from Benin and
And use the
they can share from Benin while you say next slide, you move the slide with them. Is that okay by you?
yeah, they really don't have a copy of my slides.
It's okay now, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Okay, which view are you seeing now?
From in person, Benin. We can see the slides view full screen.
Okay, is it on the outline?
Yes, it's on outline page now.
Okay. So, is the title page? Can you see the title?
Yes, we can see the title page. Artificial Intelligence in the Upstream Oil and Gas, Modern Trends.
Okay. Full view, right?
Full view.
All right. Okay. Sorry for the view. Let me quickly run through the presentation. Okay. So, as I was saying, we are going to take a look at modern trends in application of artificial intelligence in the upstream oil and gas. Then we take specific applications in field development and production engineering. Then we shall close the presentation with an example of one of our AI-based solutions, which is on predictive maintenance. Artificial intelligence is a technique which enables machine to mimic human behavior. Artificial intelligence is a very, very broad term. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. In this modern time, most AI algorithms are powered by machine learning techniques such as deep learning. So deep learning is a subset of machine learning that makes computation of multi-layer neural networks possible. Now let me attempt to explain briefly what machine learning is. I'll start soon. In traditional programming, we take in data and the rules for manipulating data to get the answer. In other words, the steps that are required in solving a particular problem are encoded in a programming language. Now, the programming language is either compiled or interpreted, and at runtime, it takes data, and following those rules, manipulate this data to get answer, to get the required answer or solve the problem. But in machine learning, the approach is different, is opposite. Instead of providing the computer with a detailed step of how to solve a problem, we throw at the computer an enormous amount of data and the answers to the particular problem that we want to solve. Then the machine, using a kind of model, try to learn the patterns that can be found in the answers and the data in order to generate the rules. So we can see that this is very, very different from traditional programming. Whereas in traditional programming, we supply the rules to solve a particular problem. But in machine learning, we supply a couple of the answer, an example of answer to the algorithm, and we allow the algorithm to infer what the rules are. This is very, very important. And if you look at this procedure, you can already see an advantage here. In engineering, we usually solve a lot of problems through modeling. And you know how long it takes to model a particular physical system. After modeling the system, you now go through the process of writing algorithm to solve the models. This is time consuming. Input and output relationship, and you can throw it at a particular algorithm and it will learn the relationship between and figure out how to get the outputs from the input. There's going to be like it's only imaginable the sort of problems that can be solved using this approach. So this phase is known as training. Once a particular suitable algorithm has been trained, we can now put it into use for prediction. So subsequent data that it has not seen before, we can run those data through the algorithm, and then it will tell us what the results should be. This phase is known as inference. A neural network. Now I want to dwell a little bit on neural network because it's very, very fundamental to modern AI technology. The basic unit in a neural network is a neuron. As you can see here, this yellow circle is an activation function. This particular neuron has three inputs, x1, x2, x3, and then a linear combination of this input sent to the activation function to produce an output. This output is known as the hypothesis. Now, what you try to do here is to ensure that the value given here, the value predicted by this output is as close as possible to the expected result. In other words, we minimize the error between the output and the actual result that we are expecting, because we already have data that gives us input and output. This is done through an optimization algorithm. And then what the optimization algorithm will give are the parameters that you use to form a linear combination of this input. Those parameters are the parameters of the machine learning model. So basically what you do during training is to find suitable values for these parameters. Now we can stack a couple of these neurons together to form what is known as a neural network. In this particular example, we have three layers: the input layer, the middle layer, and then an output layer. Now, neural networks power most AI and machine learning solutions in production today, and there are a couple of high-performance libraries for training an ML model using neural networks. Most of these libraries have bindings in Python. Notable examples are TensorFlow and then PyTorch. So this is an example of what I mean by linear combination of the input. The X naught here is like an input bias. In most cases, it's usually set to 1. And after training, what the training phase seeks to compute are the parameters of the particular model. Here, phi 10, phi 11, phi 12, and phi 13. So, last relationship here. So, this first will give us input to the final activation function. And you can also see that the final activation function, the input to the final activation function is also a linear combination of the output from the inner layer or the middle layers. Once suitable values have been found, you can now use this model to predict what the output will be, given other data that it has not seen before. So, why do we need AI in the oil and gas industry? What problem are we really looking forward to solve in the oil and gas using AI? Now, we all know that as a rule, all conventional brown fields produce more water than oil. And then huge amount of money are usually spent to production level by embarking on activities such as drilling extra wells, hydraulic fracturing, or fuel scale enhanced oil recovery, using in order to increase mobility, using different chemical cocktail. In most cases, these activities usually do not pay off, leaving most of these brownfields to die slowly. Now, the case is not, it is almost the same with greenfields. Most modern greenfields are in harsh environments with very complex geometry and poor permeability. Now, developing these fields require expensive technology, and profitability of further oil is not guaranteed. So, two questions to be asked of this. The first is, should we spend money on geophysical study to assess the potential of an asset? Typically, this question is answered, or the question is answered using a geological and reservoir modeling workflow, which may take months and a couple of years, depending on the necessity of additional geophysical survey and then the complexity of the procedures in-house. The second question is, should money be spent on enhancing oil production? If so, what technologies are worth investing in? These are questions that needed to be asked before making a decision to improve oil production or to go on and develop a particular asset. And we have seen that traditionally, these questions are also, the second question is also answered by experts supported by conventional reservoir modeling tools. And now the problem here is that there's a strong dependence on expert opinion, because the expert opinion is usually biased. And then the expert also draw conclusion from using traditional modeling tools. The input to most of these traditional modeling tools are usually insufficient, and this leads to bias and uncertain answers. So how can this problem be solved? A system, an AI-trained system, will derive field data and solve this problem in two particular ways. Now, from the first question, we notice that there is a conventional way of approaching answer to the first question by embarking on geological and reservoir modeling workflows. But this usually takes months and years. So one way AI can help in this respect is to speed up assessment process. Now we are going to take a look at how this speed up is possible and quickly explain why AI can speed up a conventional modeling process. Then there's also going to be more objectivity and expert independence, because the model is formed solely from data, the data that you have available for training models. So it is going to be free from, expert opinion, and it's going to be fair and unbiased. These are AI applications in the upstream oil and gas, modern trends. There are several activities here, like geological assessment, drilling, reservoir engineering, and then production optimization. So several AI tools have been developed to help in these activities. Now, the one that I'm particularly interested in, that I will be highlighting shortly, are applications relating to reservoir engineering and production optimization. For instance, how are we able with AI to accelerate conventional reservoir simulation? And in production engineering, what can be done to improve production optimization? Using an approach that is slightly different from a conventional approach. Now, what problems the conventional approach actually have that we are trying to, avoid? So in a conventional reservoir simulation, a geological model is supplied to, is an input to a reservoir simulator. And in that reservoir simulator, conservative laws, a combination of conservative and constitutive relationships, which are in the form of partial differential equations, are discretized and solved using appropriate numerical methods like finite volume, finite elements, and finite differences. Finite differences are not very, very popular these days for flow modeling because the model equations are hyperbolic in nature. So finite volume is prevalent in the industry. Then flow equations are coupled with well-modeled and derived mechanism and solved. Now you can imagine the partial differential equations are complex and the dimensionality is high. The geological model usually contains up to the neighborhood of million to billion of cells, and in each cell we have huge properties like pressure, saturation, temperature, and so on. Now the computation of each of these to now solve a particular model numerically and compute the evolution of these properties over the whole flow field takes an enormous amount of time. So conventionally, what reservoir simulation engineers usually do is upscaling. The original static model usually have very, very high number of grid cells, and upscaling is trying to reduce the number of grid cells by using bigger cells. So the different approaches are used like harmonic averaging and so on. So reservoir simulation is actually very important because it enables you to test different field development scenarios, and each run usually take the result of each run is like a 10 to 25 year forecast of oil and gas production for a particular system. Now, because these computations are usually very, very lengthy, this limits the optimization ability of the reservoir engineer. Reservoir engineer is not able to test several scenarios in order to come to a particular target that he or she has set for himself. So this limitation can be removed by speeding up computation. And the way of speeding up computation, how it is physically done is computations. Okay, let me just kind of emphasize the fact that these computations are lengthy, even if they are done on modern workstation or hypercomputing computing servers. So the solution is to use a surrogate model. A surrogate model is like a replacement to the actual initial model. We have said that in machine learning, when you have a lot of input and output data and you feed it into a particular model, it is able to learn the relationship between the input and output data. Now that same strategy can be applied in reservoir simulation. If you have a lot of data relating to input and output scenario, then you can send that to a machine learning algorithm, and the algorithm infers what the model of the reservoir is, as opposed to using a physics-based model, because solving a physics-based model is somehow difficult and it takes a lot of CPU time. But a machine learning model at the very, very rudimentary level are basically linear combinations and then matrix multiplication there and there. Now, another advantage of using a machine learning model is the fact that machine learning models allows you to do what is known as dimensionality reduction. Now, once the dimensions of the problem is reduced, then that problem can be solved very, very fast. So it is possible with dimensionality reduction to achieve up to 100 to 1,000 times speed up. Now, this will now give a reservoir engineer a lot of time to try various field development scenarios to reach to be able to find a very optimal one. Then upscaling. machine learning can also help in upscaling. Upscaling is very, very subjective, but using a combination of machine learning technique, and that subjectivity can be removed. I'm going to also discuss maintenance strategy. Now, this is an application in production. How do companies usually do their maintenance? There are several maintenance strategies. The first is reactive maintenance. A couple of the past speakers and panelists said something about maintenance and the virtues of predictive maintenance. So I'm going to discuss that briefly, and it's extremely important that attention is paid to predictive maintenance rather than some other maintenance strategy. So in reactive maintenance, the machine is basically used to its limit, and repairs are only performed after the machine failure. So the machine is used to failure, and repairs are performed. So you can do this with an inexpensive item like a light bulb, but when you think of a very complex piece of machinery, such as an aircraft engine, you cannot risk running it to failure because the cost of repairing highly damaged parts is astronomical, and there are also safety issues. The second approach is preventive maintenance. Now, many organizations try to prevent failure before it occurs by performing regular checks on their equipment. But a big challenge is knowing exactly when to schedule this maintenance. So what they usually do is to be conservative. And if you are too conservative, you may end up scheduling maintenance too early, thereby wasting machine life that is still usable. Now, a better approach is predictive maintenance, because in predictive maintenance, you are able to estimate time to failure and also find an optimal time to schedule maintenance for equipment. So predictive maintenance not only helps you predict future failure, but also pinpoint problems in complex machineries and help you identify what parts need to be fixed. So what is the workflow of predictive maintenance like? The first step is to acquire data, a lot of data. This data needs processing in order to remove outliers, missing data, and noise. Some data are very noisy. Now, in this pre-processing stage, it is also possible to carry out a couple of transformations in order to identify condition indicators. These condition indicators are features that are going to be fed into a machine learning model to train it to get the parameters of the model, which subsequently can be deployed and used to do predictive maintenance. Now, this is a detailed look at during inference. These are the benefits you can get from predictive maintenance. It can help you detect anomalies. You can track changes in your system to determine the presence of anomalies. You can also detect different types of faults through a machine learning algorithm known as classification. And it's also possible, like we have mentioned before, to make the transition from healthy state to a failure state. So this is actually extremely helpful because if you are able to find a model that captures the relationship between the extracted features and the degradation part of the form, now you'll be able to estimate how much time there is until failure, and you can then schedule maintenance. So I'll quickly describe another very, very important application is a global optimization of multi-phase flow network. We know in our user production system, we have wells, and these wells, most of them are connected to manifold via a gathering system and ultimately to a topside separation facility. A very, very important task here is to run simulation and be able to get pressure, temperature, and flow properties in all branches of the network. so that you can use that to optimize production and carry out some other decisions. Now, these are usually done via process and simulators that takes time to compute. Now, this is a mathematical model of a network. If you want to facilitate the speed of this particular process and also facilitate the ability to optimize such a system in real time, surrogate modeling can also help. This is a modern trend in the application of AI to production optimization, because this is a problem that I've worked on extensively here at Cypher. Based on first principle modeling, we developed a tool that can carry out optimization of surface network and its simulation to get the distribution of nodal pressures and the phase flow rates. Now, it's usually very, very cumbersome to solve the first principle models that I described this. We usually have momentum, mass continuity, momentum, and energy equation to be solved. These are partial differential equations with high space variability. Now, solving them really takes time. It's still the same concept with reservoir simulation. Now, an approach that we are currently trying with a high degree of success is to use surrogate models based on deep learning instead of the first principle model. So this means that the first principle physics-based model can be replaced by neural network that will speed up these computations. So I'll quickly go to an example of a predictive maintenance solution that we have developed at Cypher Crescent. And this is the user interface of our predictive maintenance solution. It can be deployed on the cloud, on-premise, anywhere you can think of. We have a partnership with Huawei that will help us with the transmission of data, sensor data, to the cloud. So this application consumes data stored on cloud storage. It can also consume data on data historian. If you have data that is coming from a SCADA system, now it can be channeled to this application in real time, and we can monitor the condition. Using this application, you can monitor the condition of your facility. You can see an example here, and here we are using a virtual field to run and then simulate. If there is an actual field, it's on the right hand panel here, you can see a tree structure that will depict your various facilities. So you can monitor the condition using this predictive maintenance dashboard. So on the top here, we are currently looking at facility 1. In facility 1, we have a hydraulic rig, and in that hydraulic rig, you can see cooler condition, valve condition, and then the color here is indicating that the valve is okay and it is working under full efficiency. If there is any problem, for instance, this hydraulic accumulator now is very close to failure, and the predictive maintenance dashboard will notify you of such events that will soon be happening, and you can carry out timely intervention, so avoid major loss of resources. And this is another aspect of the user interface. You can actually measure average pump rates for the various pumps, and here you can see a lifetime series data of how the conditions are changing, the condition indicators. Then this is a final. There are a lot of views to this particular solution. Okay, I've basically run out of time, but it's okay. This is the last slide, and with this, I can say thank you. So it is basically the end of the presentation, and I hope you are able to hear me clearly from beginning to the end.
Yes, sir, we heard you clearly from the beginning to the end. Thank you for the presentation, sir.
All right.
I hope we, both online and in person, are having a wonderful time at the symposium for the day 2. Please put your hands together once more for yourselves, for the patience, for the sacrifice, and for being here. Thank you very much. This next section for the symposium is the luncheon and the awards ceremony. As announced yesterday, that we'll be giving out awards to some of our sponsors and some distinguished leadership awards to recognize persons that has been supporting the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Benin-City, Section 116. And it has come to that point where we have to recognize those persons and present awards to those that are present with us, while we just recognize those that are not present with us and we'll give them the awards in the course of the week. Please, for that sake, I would like to welcome, well, first of all, before I welcome the chairman, I would like for them to present the slides for the luncheon and awards ceremony while we all go through it. The next slides. Now, this is a Distinguished Sponsors Award from NPDC, a Platinum Award, a Traditional Award. Please, a round of applause to the management of NPDC. The award was presented to them yesterday, but we still have to recognize them as our sponsor. Next is our Distinguished Sponsor Award, a Gold Sponsor Award from Integrated Data Services Limited. Please, a round of applause to the management of IDSL for sponsoring this occasion. Next on the list is the Unicel Limited, our Distinguished Sponsor Award also. And I would like to, representatives of Unicel are in-house. And for presenting the award, I'd like to welcome the section chairman, Engineer Odunayo Ladugba, to present the awards. Also, we'd like to invite the representative of Unicel Limited to come to the podium to receive the awards. Please, a round of applause. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Next company we are giving out awards is our next silver sponsor, Cypher Crescent. And we have representatives from Cypher Crescent in person to receive the awards. Please come to the podium for the awards, sir. Please, a round of applause as he comes to the podium. As he comes forward, Mike Fitz Global Limited representative, please get ready. We say a very big thank you to the management of Cypher Crescent for their sponsorship. Next on the list is Mike Fitz Global Limited, one of our silver sponsors, and they've sent a representative to receive the award. The Society of Petroleum Engineers thank all our company who sponsored us to have this program. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Round of applause. For the distinguished awards, due to time, we would be giving out the awards to them in their respective offices, as majority of them are not here with us and they are all attending virtually. Just to remind us, for those of us who weren't able to attend yesterday, Distinguished Leadership Award to the MD MPDC, Mansa Sambo. Please, a round of applause. Next on the list is Mr. Olamide Moses, the STA Chief of Staff to the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. Please, a round of applause. Next is Ismail Mohammed, the General Manager, Asset Management for NPDC. Please, a round of applause. Yet again, we have Engineer Tunde Ehizoje, the General Manager, Exploration and Production for NPDC. Please, a round of applause. Congratulations to everyone. Next on the list, Mrs. Martina Atucci, the General Manager, Joint Venture Operations for National Petroleum Investment Management Services, also known as NAPIMS. Congratulations, ma'am. Also, we have Professor Olafuyi Olalekan. He is the SPE Nigeria Council Vice Chairman and also the SPE Benin Section Board of Trustees Chairman. Please, a round of applause. On the list, we have Engineer Francis Ayin. He is the Manager for OML 40 Assets for NPDC. Please, a round of applause. Next person is Engineer Joshua Dala. He is the Manager Exploration and Reservoir Management Services Department for IDSL. Please, a round of applause. Next on the list, we have Mrs. Valentina Kojo Soro. She is the Manager Treasury for MPDC. Please, a round of applause for her. Also, we have Mr. Tangod Egbe. He is the CEO of Cypher Crescent Limited. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Tangod Egbe. The last but not the least, we have Engineer Godwin Uzo. He is the Manager of OML 111 Assets for MPDC. Please, a round of applause. Their respective awards will be sent to their respective offices, as due to their busy schedule, they couldn't be here today to participate in this program. And lastly, we have to put a round of applause for our respective selves. Though our names were not mentioned, but you are an awardee, and we have to recognize you for being with us physically or for being with us virtually. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. Please, we would like to, at this point, invite the symposium chairman to present the closing remarks to our virtual attendees. While for those of us who are in person, we have e-exhibition that will be going on at the balcony. So when he gives his closing remarks, we can all go up to meet the exhibitors for their exhibition. At this point, let's put our hands together for the symposium chairman who organized this program with his team to give the closing remarks, Dr. Ikponsa Ohehe, as he comes to the podium. Please, a round of applause. Well done, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, maintaining existing protocols. It's been a wonderful time, wonderful 2 days for this feed optimization and economic symposium. We've had almost 20 technical papers. We've had 2 panel sessions on topical issues. We've also had special presentations. We've had e-exhibition. On behalf of the SPE Benin section 116, I wish to say a big thank you to our sponsors, our attendees, both physically and virtually. Without you, we could not have made this possible. I also wish to thank all our supporters, especially our past section chairmen, our board of trustees. We thank you very much for this. The theme of this symposium is Emerging Technologies to Shape the Future of Energy in Nigeria. And I'm sure that we have had wonderful discussions over the course of 2 days. For those who are wanting to join SPE, you can visit our website, spebenin.com. Also follow us on our social medias, handle at SPE Benin on Twitter, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. Also, but finally, I wish to thank our planning committee, without which we could not have made this possible. We had a whole lot of them spending more than 5,000 man-hours in planning this symposium. And we can see that this is world class. It could have made it's people think Benin is small, but Benin is no longer small. We are big. And we could have done this without these planning committees. This slide. We've had, I probably just recognize a whole lot of them that I have here. And also, if you are part of the planning committee, we wish you to come right on stage. Those who are here, those who are in planning committee, come right up. Planning committee for the symposium, we wish to have you here on stage. There are gallant men and gallant women who helped us plan this. I'm sure due to work schedule, a lot of them could not come here today, but we are way more than this that planned this symposium. So again, we wish to have a presidential handshake from the section chairman.
Thank you so much.
And these are the pictures of those who helped us plan this. Thank you very much, Symposium Planning Committee. We appreciate you, we love you, and last but not the least, we wish you journey mercies as you go back to your respective homes, and your respective places of abode. And also, we wish to also announce that the next symposium, FOPES, is 2023. So a round of applause for Benin section. FOPES 2023. We will communicate to you the theme, the date, and the venue in sometime in the future. Thank you very much again for being with us, and wish you all safe trip.
SPE Benin, Nigeria section presents the third SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. Theme: emerging technologies to shape the future of energy in Nigeria. Date is May 26 to 27, 2021. Venue, Best Western Homeview Hotel, GRA Benin-City. Time is 10 a.m. each day. Guest of honor, Tunji Akiewumi. Keynote speaker upstream, Mansour Sambo. Keynote speaker midstream, Tolulope Longe. Poma Ndoeche. Mr. Prince Abango. Simeon Okara. Special presentations, Dr. God's Will of Lagba, Mr. Wang Hao, Engineer Musa Muhammad. Hosts, Engineer Oduayo Oladuba. Register via spebenin.com. The SPE Benin section, Field Optimization and Economic Symposium, FOPES 2021. See you there. SPE